Okay, we're here to analyze this. This week we got two guests.
All right.
Because my other two guys not here today, but I'm excited because these are two seniors.
Graduate.
Gabe Vega, hopefully graduate. Gabe Vega and Chris Canuli. And, we've talked about some pretty light issues in the past few weeks. We've talked about Avengers Endgame. Although we took it very seriously, it's a pretty light conversation. We talked about roller coasters, which we had a lot of fun with. We talked about virtual reality last week, which is one of the coolest things I've ever done. I have to say, it's just one of the coolest things I've ever done. And the natural progression, the natural segue is for us this week now talk about teenage-assisted suicide.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah. It was in the news, this girl in the Netherlands, and we'll get into what her super traumatic stress disorder problems were.
It's a sad case, yeah.
Very sad.
Sad.
17 years old, wanted to euthanize herself. And I didn't know this. You think of the date on this, guys. The Netherlands, it's been legal. Assisted suicide has been legal since 2002. That's like 17 years. For us, it's a new thing. I don't know if people know this, but there's 9 states in the country right now that assisted suicide is legal with stipulations, and we'll talk about what that even means.
Does that mean like above like 18 or minority could be?
So, every state's different. That's why there's only 9 states that do it. Maine is literally, as we speak, their legislature is debating this topic of whether or not to send it to the governor's desk for him to sign it. But for our country, this is a pretty new topic, a relatively new topic. In the Netherlands, it's been legal since 2002. So the original story was that she was given permission to get assistance in doing this herself. I think afterwards, later, the night I found this, I believe was Wednesday. I think later that night it kind of came out that they did not give her permission. And my guess is because she's a minor.
She's a minor, yeah.
I think we talked about this on Thursday, too.
Yeah. So I think what I want to get into it from as a point of view is if she was 18, because I think most of us would recognize as a minor or as someone who's not regarded as an adult. I don't know if I'd be okay with this, but I thought it'd be an interesting topic because I am very conflicted with this as a person who believes in like individual rights, but also a person who I like to err on the side of life over death. Okay, so we'll start with that, and I'll let you, Chris, you can start with like what your thoughts are on this particular story, and then we can get into more.
Yeah, on this particular case, I mean, I really feel like the girl, I mean, although like what she has been through her life, some traumatic events, I mean, she's too young to make that decision for herself. I mean,
let me throw out there for this specific case, she suffers from post-traumatic stress disorder, depression, and anorexia after being molested when she was 11 and 12, and then, as if that wasn't enough, she was raped by 2 men when she was 14. Okay, so, and now she's 17.
3 years later.
Yeah, so this is her thing specifically was like she's been thinking about this for a long time. It's not impulsive.
Yeah.
But she's 17, so go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. That would put a lot of stress. I mean, I don't know what I would be able to go through. Can't even imagine. But to kill yourself, is that the answer? I don't know. However, I feel like if we do say this is a way out, this is an escape, I mean, kids are going to look at this, other kids that are 17. I mean, I hear kids all the time. I said myself, I want to kill myself. Do I actually mean it? No.
Definitely not.
But it is scary because, topics like this are going to keep growing and stuff. And maybe in this particular case, it was okay. But I feel like there could have been another
different outcome.
I feel like it could have been prevented. A life didn't have to be.
Yeah, the
cost.
problem with this article, and oftentimes what you get on the internet is you're not getting the full story. So
that is true.
Did she go through a full range of therapies?
Yeah. Did she have any recovery?
How much time was spent doing that? It's a really difficult thing to even talk about because the idea, I certainly have no idea what it's like to be molested or to be raped or to go through both, which is
crazy.
It's absolutely right? It's just crazy. So for me, this starts with she's still a minor. This is where I would draw the line. She's not an adult. I couldn't if I were, the president of the country or something like that, and it came down to me saying yes or no, I would say no. But then everything changes for me personally. Everything changes once you become 18. What do you think about that?
You're a legal adult. I mean, some states.
I mean,
yeah.
I mean, if you think about it, maybe today, yeah, but 50 years ago, I mean, you said you wanted to kill yourself. You were maybe locked up in an asylum or something like that.
You might get treatment today.
You might get treatment, yeah.
Put in treatment today. But my thing is, like, if you're 18, this country and other countries have no problem sending you off to war, have no problem putting a gun in your hand and say, shoot that guy across from you in the face, kill him, kill multiple people, drop bombs, shoot missiles, and they do it without much hesitation. I'm not going to sit here and say that politicians don't wrestle with the idea of war. I'm sure they do. But they don't wrestle with what goes on in an individual's life when their leg gets blown off or when they kill somebody.
When I mean, I can't imagine.
That's not easy either.
Some of the stuff you see in war. Some of the stuff you see in war. I mean, you're never gonna get that out of your head.
Yeah. What were you saying?
Yeah. I said even like when families die, they don't really know what's going on.
The politician's not feeling that, but they have no problem sending.
But I do feel like if you make it like exceptional, that even if a young girl, young boy is going under a lot of stress, a lot of whatever the case may be, if you make it exceptional for them to kill themselves, for them to have an escape, for them to have a way out, I feel like that's just not good. I feel like more kids are gonna look at this and be like, wow, maybe if everyone thinks it's okay, maybe this is what I want to do.
This is the way out.
This is the way out.
Right.
And I just don't, for that one reason, I just feel like...
Can you think... So let's stick with a minor. Let's stick with someone who's under 18. Can you think of a scenario where... So this is like mental anguish. This is why this case is even more unique, because this is mental anguish. Like, I have no doubt in my mind at all that this poor girl is just tortured.
Yeah,
I mean, just
absolutely.
tortured on a daily basis. Probably just reliving it over and over. I mean, I can't even imagine. It's got to be awful. But it is mental. At this point, 3 years later, it's mental. Whatever physical.
Has to be.
It's got to be mental. Can you think of any other situations, though, where, say, someone who's 14 years old has terminal cancer? Would that then change your mind? Does that make you say, boy, I don't want to see that person suffer?
I mean, a horse... I mean, say a horse loses a cuff, right? A horse can't walk anymore. So they shoot the horse. They kill the horse. That's what happens. I mean, people get pulled off the plug every single day.
Right.
And that happens, people are...
So if someone your age...
But I think mentally, I mean, yeah, that girl, she was raped. But I mean, is
let's
depression...
Talk about someone who's sick. Like I said, someone has cancer. They're 15 years old. They have bone cancer, some crazy bone cancer. They've done all the treatments. There's nothing more they can do. And now it's just a matter of making them comfortable.
Well, yeah, if they have 0%, if they have 0% to live and they're in misery and in pain, yeah, absolutely.
What do you think?
I would
100%.
So then you're okay with it.
Pull the plug. But I don't look at...
I'm putting myself in the eyes of the person,
you have
being
to try to,
sick
right?
and laying in the bed. I would not want to be
and you
sitting
say,
there suffering.
For maybe months.
Would not be wanting to sit there and suffer. I'm not living on my own. I have plugs and cables and all that inside of me.
Because they want to make you comfortable. This may go on for weeks, for months. You don't know. You don't know when your body's just going to decide to give.
And you might disagree with me with this, but I really don't think depression or even like addiction, I don't really look at it as illness. I mean, it's more of a mindset, I think.
I don't know.
And people's minds are stronger than other minds.
I look at it as an illness, or I look at it as a...
Because you can't...
the word disease for me
You get what I'm saying? Do you get what I'm saying, though?
I kind of do, yeah.
Yeah.
The word disease bothers me sometimes. Whether it's with people who gamble,
because
or
it's
other kind of like addictions. I
because
don't know if
it's
I can
not
call that a disease.
Because I don't think addiction and I don't think bone marrow cancer. That's two different
it's hard
things.
To compare
it's hard to compare those two.
Totally.
Absolutely. Addiction or depression. I mean, those are that's something happened in your life, or you just can't you can't let go of it.
Right. That's why. Yeah. I usually use the words like disorder. Like it's a disorder.
Yeah.
Because there's a switch. It's not even something. And although they are getting to a point now where they can actually see in the brain as the brain's working, they're doing scans where these thoughts are coming from or where they're centered and stuff like that. But it's not it really isn't a physical issue, whereas something like cancer or something.
I wanted to ask you.
You can see a virus in a body. It is a little different, but it certainly is something that they're dealing with. It's definitely real.
Absolutely.
There's no doubt about that. It's real, and it's something that has to be dealt with.
It affects many people, right? Yeah, millions. But
so just before you go, for something physical, like a terminal disease, whatever disease it is, doesn't matter. Then you're kind of okay. Parent involvement.
I mean, as long as the life rate, there's no chance of life.
The life rate.
Because I mean, knowing myself, I would.
There's nothing more.
Yeah, knowing myself, I mean, I would fight on my deathbed if there was 1% chance survival rate. I mean, I don't care. I'm taking that chance. But when the doctor says there's 0% chance and I'm sitting there in pain, I would want someone to pull the plug.
Because at the end of the day, you're still getting pumped up with all these drugs to keep you comfortable because you're in so much pain.
You're just someone else's hassle at that point. You're just someone else's problem, you know, really.
Facts.
So now how does that change once they're 18? Or even if you go older,
I don't think it changes.
For you, it doesn't change.
For me, it doesn't change. I don't think taking a life, even a life for a life, I don't think a murderer should be murdered for murdering someone.
Yeah, this is where you and I differ.
Yeah.
Not even just the murderer part. I'm just I guess this is like the libertarian in me, where I just believe that your body is your body. And once you get to a certain age, that's why I use the example of going to war. You could put me in a position of war. You consider me an adult. If I did something wrong, you would try me as an adult. You consider me an adult, then my body is my body.
And listen, if that girl really wanted to kill herself, I'm sure there was times where she could have easily killed herself.
Yeah, but that gets messy. That could be very messy. It could be very difficult for the family.
Absolutely. But
that gets really, and I don't mean messy like I'm not trying to like paint a picture of the scene. I mean messy as in like who's responsible, who did anything about it. There's legal issues involved in that. Whereas when the state comes in and says, we understand, there's nothing more, you can't be convinced, you've been treated, it's an injection, and it's kind of peaceful and quiet and done. So I understand that part of it.
I think if she would have killed herself without the what is it called? Like the
injection.
Yeah, the lethal injection. I don't think, because I'm thinking if she had help assist suicide, that the people that raped her and did the things they were doing had been brought to justice.
You would hope they had. I don't know.
I mean, you're saying names. You can't. I don't know about that, because you sit here and think. I don't know.
Do you think they have something like doctors or something? Do you think they have something out there that'll make you erase your memory in a way?
They don't have. I don't think they got anything that's going to erase your memory. Not anything long term. But what they do have, I mean, you have these SSRIs and other drugs that she may or may not have used, but they change who you are, man. There's so much crap. And I'm trying to be like,
but like, you don't think there's like a surgery? You don't think there's like a surgery or like a drug, a drug that'll make you just forget? No,
not at all.
No,
because what we don't have, I don't know where that thought is
in your brain.
Like, I can't go in there and say, "Oh, it's right here," and cut that piece out.
I mean, maybe you might not be able to, but machine.
Well, because I don't think it works like that. I don't think you
don't know where the thought's coming from.
Thoughts are specifically located. I think this all works as a unit.
Your brain works as one.
When I was 5, and
that makes sense.
This is over here when my mother.
But maybe just your memory overall.
But that's the problem. See, there's things that they can do, and this is what happens with antidepressant drugs, anti-anxiety drugs. They do change you, and time. you definitely, most people definitely can cope better, but that comes with other things. So if you're a happy kind of jovial kid, you joke around a lot, and you're playful and you're fun, and you're on some of these antidepressants, you become very flat. Your affect just flattens out. You have no emotion. You're very dry. And it's like, is that what you want?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe you would. And maybe someone would say, hey, I'd rather be like that.
I mean, do you think
be miserable?
Do you think this 17-year-old girl, do you think this 17-year-old girl like never had like a positive day in her life? Never had a good day?
Probably not. I'm sure she did.
Never had like a laugh on her face.
I'm sure she did. But here's the thing, like, because so let's say you could say the same thing about someone who comes from out of war, and they have post-traumatic stress disorder, because that's basically what they're saying this girl has. Did that person have that person? You could even look and say, I'm sure the person who comes from war can point to many times that they've had good times with friends in the military. Great days, team building days. You know, they call each other. It's my brother. They can point to lots of things. I mean,
and their brother would die right next to him.
So the problem is that the weight of those bad days is so much heavier than the kind of fondness of the good days. Difficult things are always way heavier than the good things. Like, you could probably, I could remember shots that I've missed or passes that I threw that were incomplete.
Yeah.
Way more, and they're stuck.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I get what you're saying. No, I get what you're saying.
Great passes I've made or touchdown passes or game-winning shots. I have those too, but those don't weigh on me. All the important word in post-traumatic stress disorder is stress. Negative stress weighs on you way more than positive stress. Stress can be a very good thing because it pushes us to action, but negative stress weighs on us.
It does.
It does.
And unless you have that personality where it's like, screw everything, it's gonna kill you. Yeah,
to get past things. You guys, 17, 18 years old, somewhere in that range, right?
18.
You probably have things within the last 4, 5 years, 6 years that you look back on with some regret.
100%.
That you're like, dude, if I could change that, I would right now, because it still bothers me 5 years later. I'm 45, okay? I'm like 30 years older than you guys, and I have things from when I was your age that I look back on and go, damn. Like, it still bothers me if I.
But I feel like if I never
like,
made
and those are nothing things. Those are not these types of things. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but still,
it still weighs on me.
If I never made those mistakes, I mean, I wouldn't be here right now.
Never.
No, absolutely.
Like
all
mistakes, I think shape you as well.
There's no doubt about it.
And that's what makes you regret. That's what makes you regret. You sit there and look at it, and you're like, you learned the lesson after you did it. Now you're looking back on it.
Or you should. You should try to, right? There's no question about it. My only point of saying that is just that, and these are minor stresses. These are minor things that they still are there. You know what I mean? So imagine with these heavy duty, crazy,
she was 14.
Scenario.
She was 14,
and that was after she was molested when she was younger. And who knows how they give if she was molested when she was 11 and 12.
Now I want to know where her family
years.
Was when this was all happening too. I want to know what her family was doing.
That's where I get back to, like, these are questions that we'd like to have answered. Like, was this a family member?
Yeah, because especially seeing someone every single day, you know,
like, I'm sure
you know how they are, you know how they act, and then when you see them and they're depressed, that's one of the first things you should notice, especially if that's someone you're with every single day. Certainly. Like, that's your family.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, what happened to these men? Or were they just free, or are they in jail?
That's what I was saying. If she killed herself by herself, these men, if they did get brought to justice, these men would have never, ever even had any consequences.
Well, here's the other side of it. Whether they were or weren't may also be playing on her mind. Like, if they were never caught,
she could be thinking like
this could happen again. They
could,
so there's so many variables that could go into this. But for me, just the idea of how old she is,
case by case,
closes it for me. Like, it's a no for me because of her age. But this is where I said it gets.
But I do think overall that overall the whole thing, I feel like it's assisting suicide is a terrible outcome. I mean, I don't think that should ever be used in the United States ever, honestly. because I think it's just gonna.
I understand
it's
why.
It's gonna lead to so much more.
I understand why.
Well, I mean, in
things.
America, there's a lot more suicide
There's
deaths than
gonna be
anywhere
a
else.
kid. There's
on
gonna
the
be a
earth.
kid
There's a lot here.
that has a
I don't know about
reason,
anywhere else in
and
Europe, but there's
and he's
definitely a
gonna.
lot here.
Oh man.
My thing is just in the end. So this is what I said. We were kind of talking about it earlier, where I say, it's your body, you do what you want, and this like goes into the drug debate for me, where I say, if I use the example, if Wawa started selling heroin tomorrow, I'm not going to buy heroin and start using heroin.
No, absolutely.
And I just believe that it's your body, you do what you want, as long as you're not hurting anybody else. As an adult, of course, I just always have to stipulate that. As an adult, it's your body, you do what you want. I'm not here to tell you what to do with your body, okay? As long as you're not doing anything to anybody else. And I believe that so deeply. That's why this becomes an issue for me, because my heart says this is not okay.
Yeah, but at
You
the
know what I'm
same time,
saying?
if we let heroin loose on the streets, I mean, there would literally be towns where it would be ghost towns.
I don't know if that's true or not.
I think
There's
so.
literally
I think
heroin let out on the
No,
streets.
but I'm talking about
today.
legal.
It's kind of the way it is
But
now.
I'm saying if you legalized it, if we legalized all the drugs out there that we know
They're
are
they're
bad
going to be
drugs,
done either.
There's going to
drugs are going to still be
There's
used.
going to be a lot more people.
No,
I don't
I
know.
don't
There's
believe
gonna
that.
be
I
a
don't
lot.
believe
Here's
that.
what I said.
I don't
Evidence
believe
proves
that.
otherwise. When they look at, I think it's Spain.
Portugal, right?
Was it Portugal?
Or one
Maybe
of
it's
them.
Portugal.
I think it was Portugal.
Anywhere where they've decriminalized, not
Yeah.
necessarily legalized.
In
but
Denver,
at
they
the
just-
very least decriminalized.
Denver, they just decriminalized shrooms.
Well, Oakland definitely did. I don't know if Denver did.
No, Denver.
Denver
did too?
Yeah,
Okay.
shrooms.
Well, in those countries that I'm talking about,
Uh-huh.
I think Holland is another one where they decriminalized it, or it's legal. They didn't see this massive increase. They didn't see any real increase.
That's the thing, because if you want to do drugs, you're going to go and do those drugs, whether
Right.
they're legal
This
or
is my
not.
point. Yeah, I don't think if heroin became legal tomorrow,
People
are
are just
gonna
going to
go
be walking
oh,
around.
damn,
Yeah,
let me go
just-
start doing heroin. I
Yeah.
just don't think that's happening. You know, so.
I do get what you're
but
saying.
even if it did, this is why I say this is the difference between this is where my head and my heart are like go to war, because my heart is saying I don't want you doing drugs. I don't want anybody doing drugs. I know the damage it can do, but my head it tells me you're your own man. I'm my own man. I don't want you telling me what to do. I'm not going to tell you what to do, and I would never want you to do drugs, or I would never want you under any circumstances to feel that you needed to end your life.
Now,
but
how
I also
hard?
feel that it's your body,
Yeah.
and you do what you feel is right.
Now, how old would you have to be in your mind would
For me, with this scenario,
with this
stuff.
scenario?
You know, again, I point to a legal adult and say, if you could charge me as an adult, if you can send me to war, then that's the point. Again, I don't have to like it. We're talking. So I want to be perfectly clear with this, because this gets into like what I think.
In a perfect world, this wouldn't exist.
Of course, but the world is very imperfect.
Yeah.
There's a difference between what I like, what I want,
Yeah.
and what's law. Okay?
Yeah.
So, for example, again, we talked about this before we came on, seatbelt laws.
Yeah.
Do I know for a fact that
100%.
seatbelts are better? Absolutely. Do I think you should wear a seatbelt?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Do I want to be forced by law to wear a seatbelt? Absolutely not.
Not at all.
I think it's an absolutely ridiculous law that
Even-
that I can get a ticket for not wearing a seatbelt.
But even
has
if-
nothing to do with anybody else.
But even if, because I mean, there's numbers that prove like seatbelts do. I mean,
yeah, there's numbers that
Yeah.
prove if you don't eat sugar, you're not going to get diabetes. But people are allowed to eat sugar, and diabetes is probably
yeah, I
the
mean,
leading
there's-
cause of most
classify
future
sugar
diseases.
though. I mean, you're talking about sugar,
Carbohydrates.
in fruit, or you're talking about like
Carbohydrates.
like chocolate sugar. You know.
Carbohydrates, excessive carbohydrates. If you ate 35 apples a day, that's just going to be too much sugar.
Well,
My point
yeah,
just
I
being,
mean-
we can point to lots of things that are bad for you.
You eat too many oranges, it'll destroy your metabolism.
It'll destroy your teeth.
Yeah.
But we don't say 3 oranges a day. That's the law. We don't do that.
Yeah.
And I don't think you should do that. I'm not advocating for that. I'm just saying we know lots of things that you should do or shouldn't do, that we don't have laws for.
Yeah.
And so I just don't like
drinking
that.
gasoline.
We talked about gasoline. The idea with drugs being that the government has decided there's a list of a dozen things that it's illegal for you to actually consume. Meanwhile, if you wanted to go to ShopRite,
but they know it's addictive.
If you wanted to go to ShopRite,
but
marijuana is not physically addictive. Cocaine is not physically addictive.
I think marijuana
magic mushrooms are not physically addictive. There's no physical withdrawals.
Marijuana is not physically addictive.
It's not physically addictive. Steroids are not physically addictive.
All right, so mentally addictive. What's the difference?
So is sugar. Sugar actually has a stronger physical addiction than most drugs. Okay.
Okay.
Sex, alcohol.
Alcohol. I mean, I'll give you that.
So
yeah.
So but they don't outlaw it. They don't say you can only have sex with your girlfriend 4 times a month. Or else, you might lose control.
Yeah, and that's one reason why I'm all for legalizing prostitution too.
I would do that too, because not because I think you should have the right to be with whoever you want, because I think
it's
a
the
woman
oldest tradition.
Or a man, frankly, if that's what you choose to do, if you've chosen to do it, I don't like it.
It's simply as
the man, wouldn't want in my family doing
but
it.
the woman gets paid, the man gets what they want. It's
a transaction.
Easy. I mean, if you make it
Who says it's not the other way around?
Absolutely.
And if you make it like a company, like where you call a company and they call like if
I don't
you
care
make
if you
it
have to call
all
a company or if this person is an individual.
Yeah, I mean whatever it is, but if you make it legit, I feel like it would be.
So you're making my argument for me then. My argument is your body, you do what you want. We have no problem. Someone can
making a good point.
Someone can be a police officer. Someone can be a high wire trapeze artist, and they can fall to their death, and that's no problem.
Owner of an NFL team.
If you look at sports, football, boxing, UFC, these guys' brains are turned into scrambled eggs, and we have no problem with that.
Absolutely,
with watching it
because they know what they're getting into, and they're getting well paid for it, and I'm fine with it.
I mean, but look at like the Nazis, the Japan. When we were in war with them, all of them are on opioids, meth, and we know
because they wanted.
But we know what that shit does. We know what that kind of stuff does.
You do know what it does, but that was done for a different reason, and that was done against their will, and I don't like that. Because it was done against their will. Do you know what I mean? They were forced to take that so that they would be kamikazes.
I don't know. I don't think the Japanese were forced to take that. I think they were just doing it on their own.
We're getting way off track, but Japanese culture is so different that they were very loyal and did what they were told. Much more than Americans. Americans are a little more cowboy attitude. But going back to the point is it's your body. I don't have to like it. I don't have to like it.
Yeah, no, 100%.
I don't have to like it.
You do what you want.
I don't want.
Yeah, listen,
in fact,
you
I would
guys do what you
advocate against it. If someone were to say to me, "Hey, man, you're in this. Look at my life. Look at my situation. I think I just want to kill myself. And it's legal. Do you think it's okay?" I'd be like, "Hell no. Let's work on this, man. Let's fix this.
Facts.
Let's try.
Facts.
I've tried. Let's keep trying. Don't give up.
Don't give up."
So you think?
If he finally decided?
Now I have a question. Let me get a.
I hate that
Let me get a
doing it,
scenario for you.
I love scenarios.
A girl comes in your classroom. She pulls her sleeve up and there's cuts all over her arm.
Yeah.
Right. And you see it, right? What are you gonna do? What are you gonna say? Say you say something to her. She says, "It's my body. I do what I want." What are you gonna say?
I work in a high school. Most of these kids are underage. So if she's underage, she's not.
Say she's
adult.
18. Say she's 18. It's her body. She said she wants to do it.
So by law, I really have to check with this.
He has to.
By law, I think I have to say something because it's in a school. But for your scenario, let's say this happened outside of school.
Okay.
I would do everything I could to help her in any way I could. And if she said this, because I think it is, I think New Jersey is one of the states where it is legal. Assisted suicide is legal.
Really?
Yeah. And after this scenario, let's talk about what that even means, because there's stipulations out the wazoo on how it's okay. But I would exhaust every option possible, and I would do everything I could to convince her otherwise.
Even though it's her body, she could do whatever she wants.
And I still believe that. What I'm saying is, this is what I mean by the difference between what I think, what I want, and what is law. Okay? These are very different things. So what I think and what I feel and what I would want is I'm gonna help her as much as I can up until the absolute last second, and even after she's made the decision, I'm gonna try to work otherwise. Decided, then that's what you've decided, and I will accept that. And in all honesty,
I just don't want you to go back on your point.
No, I would accept that and wash my hands of it as well. This happens. This is working at this school has helped me do that very much because there's all kinds of scenarios that go on in this place.
Oh, absolutely.
And
I'm sure you've seen everything.
I work tirelessly sometimes to try to help someone get out of that. Or to find a different way, or even to just deal with it differently. Maybe I can't help you change your situation, but I can help you deal with it differently. And that's helpful. But when I leave at the end of the day, I go and I say, I've given everything I can. Whatever happens, Gabe leaves for the end of the day. What he does afterwards, I don't know. And that's his business. You leave for the end of the day. You go do what you do. And I wash my hands of it, and I'm okay with it. And I really am okay with it. And if you came in tomorrow and said, oh, I did this, that, or the other thing, I'd go, oh, yeah? How are you with that? You okay with it? Then I'm okay with it. If you're not, how can I help? And that's how it is. And I think that helps me get through the day. Yeah. Because if I ate everything that you guys did, I don't mean you two literally. I mean you guys, students, it would kill me. You know, it would kill you. Okay. So I have to let go at a certain point, and that's how in your scenario, that's how I would do it. I'd do everything I possibly could. I would rack my brain. And do everything I could to try to get her to change her mind.
Now,
but in the end, it's her mind.
Now, what if one of your students were on heroin?
Again, in the school, I got to report it. Yeah, in the school, I got to report it.
But outside of school, I'm talking outside of school. Someone you've seen 2 years ago that came here and they got. What would you do?
I try to do everything I could to convince them otherwise. I would say, hey, is there anything any way I can help? You want to hang out? You want to talk?
Basically,
and they're like, nah, I got this. I'd be like, okay.
That's it.
That's it.
That's it.
It's as simple as that. Sad. Because when I say I believe it's your body and you do what you want, I mean it. I don't mean it in a political way. Like when I said I'm very libertarian with that, that libertarian is kind of a political stance. It's a political position or a political party, I guess you can say. I don't mean it in that way. I mean it in the form of liberty. Whereas you are free to do what you want as long as you're not hurting me. And I do believe that.
Yeah,
and I think it's a great way to be because it leads to peace. I'm at peace with what you decide as long as it's only affecting you, or what you decide because it's only affecting you.
Don't you think?
As long as I've given you the best advice
I used to not feel like that until I actually met you.
I understand why you wouldn't feel like that because I don't want those things happening to you.
But do you think, like, in the long run, like, because if we made all the drugs legal, the drugs would never go away.
They're not going away.
They're never going away.
They're not going away.
Drugs have been here long before I have, and they're going to be long here after I'm.
But
absolutely.
Yeah, but in the long run, it might affect you. Like, even though you don't personally do the
totally true.
Even though you personally, it's going to affect the people around you.
You bring up a great point.
Your kids.
Me not saying something about someone using drugs could butterfly effect turn around and that person gets in a car accident that kills my son.
You have no idea.
God forbid.
You have no idea.
You're totally right. And this is the we'll call it. This is like the downside of freedom. We'll say. Like, so you have the choice of like living in old Stalin Russia where they're watching everything you do, and if you don't toe the line, you're gonna get locked in a gulag somewhere, and then there's no one doing drugs, although there still were. There's less people doing bad things, but you have no society. You have no freedom.
Yeah.
With freedom comes mistakes, comes bad decisions, comes accidents, and messiness. Freedom is messy, but it's free, and it's a much more peaceful way to live because I let you do you, and you let me do me, and we're okay, and you're okay with that, and I'm okay with that. And nobody's angry.
Yeah.
Nobody's angry when we truly believe like that.
Yeah, as long as you're ready for the consequences.
Absolutely. So I just want to get into, you talked about like, whoa, really? It's legal in New Jersey? In all the states that it's legal in, there are stipulations. And I think most of these stipulations you would probably say like, okay, at least there's that. Like, I'm pretty sure there's age restrictions, and then there's like, what's the disease or the condition? Is it terminal? Have we exhausted all options?
Further options.
Have they been, like, I know with Maine, I think they're talking about has the person been, what do you say, like analyzed by a psychiatrist that they're making a decision of sane mind?
Okay, so it's not like all right, I got migraine, so I can go get a medical card, right? It's not okay.
No.
I'm stuck at the fact that you said that there's assisted suicide in the state of New Jersey, but there isn't a death penalty.
Correct. Bizarre, right?
Very bizarre. That's what
and this is where government becomes very duplicitous.
Very bizarre.
Yeah.
Government becomes
the government can help me kill myself, but if I go and do whatever I did to put myself on death row,
you won't kill me. Yeah.
You guys aren't going to kill me.
We're on the side of life.
Well, I mean, to be honest with you, I mean, I think once you, I say a guy kills 20 people. I mean, yeah. I mean, I think that guy, personally, I think that guy should be locked in solitary confinement for the rest of his life rather than dead. I mean, let him suffer.
Some people live better in jail than they have their whole life out of jail.
No. I said just put it to an end.
Put it to an end.
People just weren't meant for this world.
I mean, yeah.
Jail has structure.
But let him think about those 20 people every single
He
day.
killed 20 people. I got
every
a feeling
single
you thought
day.
About him.
Every single day. Let him think about that for the rest of his life. Let him think about that. Let him think about that.
You think Ted Bundy, if he lived longer, he'd have been like, you know what? Maybe I shouldn't have killed those 30-something girls. I don't think so.
No, but I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure he was crying in his cell. I'm sure.
Not because of what
I'm sure
did.
He was. I'm sure
because that he got caught.
Dude, I'm sure no matter what, like it might not be on camera. I'm sure at one point he sat in there for 10 years before he got killed.
It was about 4.
It was no, I thought it was longer than that.
It's about 4 or 5 years. Yeah.
All right, well, whatever.
Because
I mean,
of appeals.
I don't know. I thought it was longer. All right.
And here's the other thing: at taxpayer expense.
Either way, I think he 100%.
At taxpayer expense, he gets to live.
I think 100%.
$35,000 a year. I think it's something like that to keep a person alive in a prison.
I think 100%. He was regretting. He was regretting.
He was regretting that he got caught.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you,
but when he was
that's
when
the
he
people
got
when they
caught,
go to jail.
But when he got caught, I'm sure he was regretting it. I'm sure he was thinking.
He was regretting how he did things.
I'm sure he was.
With that case, the biting people, you definitely regretted biting people.
That's all the stuff he said, on camera and stuff. But you don't know what he was thinking.
I don't think he regret. In fact,
that dude's walking around with a smile on his face.
The person who analyzed him said that he lacked empathy. Like he was not even fit for trial because he lacked the ability to empathize with anybody. He couldn't even feel like he didn't understand why you think it's a big deal that I killed him. Like, what's your problem? Like, it didn't.
Why can't you just let me kill?
Some people when they're that's
in front of the camera though. I mean, he was a lawyer. He knew how to act.
No. This was what the psychiatrist who analyzed him because they were trying to figure out whether he was fit for trial or not. Yeah. So this happened behind closed doors. This was not.
How do you?
He's a lawyer.
Say whether someone's fit for.
Because if a psychiatrist comes in, they do a total analysis, they ask a million questions, and if they're like, this person's crazy, then that person's not fit for trial.
Just send him?
Institutionalize him.
Send it.
Yeah. So, let's wrap this up. Your final conclusion on even sick person. Is there any situation where you would say this is okay for an adult? Let's say, I think we all agree, like for someone under that's not an adult, not okay.
I think even if a 13-year-old boy had a 0% survival rate and was undergoing, pain every single day, I don't think there should be any reason why they should live. However, addiction, depression, whatever, I don't look at that as an illness.
So for you, mental disorders,
I look at it as a mindset,
not a reason for euthanasia to be okay.
And absolutely not. I think those opinions could be changed, taking the right protocol, and I don't think death is the answer to everything. I really don't.
Your last thoughts?
Definitely don't think death is the answer to everything.
Well, that's true. But you agree? You kind of are with me on this, where once you're 18,
your body's your body.
As sad as that is, again, I don't want it to sound like I'm advocating for it, or I think you should do it, or I hope you do it. I hope nobody ever would choose that option. But especially
in a
when
perfect
it comes to
world, it
people
would
who are
never
sick,
exist.
Especially for people who are terminally ill. Boy, I've seen adults, grown people, just waste away to nothing. It's not good. It's not good.
I mean, absolutely. Do I know some people that are better off dead? Absolutely.
Absolutely.
That's a heavy way to close it out. Listen,
Jose.
I think this was a great discussion.
Absolutely.
You guys did a great job. Thanks for filling in. We'll catch you next week.
All right.